wizard formation where you have one caster on one side, the other caster on the other side of the pillar, and then you're just kind of poking them with Cataclysm and Flame Strikes and stuff like that. Very nasty. He's going to have to kind of be the goalkeeper, so to speak. He needs to be aggressively positioned if he's not the target. And he needs to basically try to get crowd control onto Sea-Doo anytime Method Orange are trying to push in. And Maldiva, me and Maldiva, we've done the cleanest one-shot. The cleanest one-shot I've ever done with anybody has been with Maldiva, so I think that's going to be how they win.
All right, well, the gates have opened. It is game 1 of Method Orange versus Thirst for Birch. Burst. I don't know why I'm saying Birch.
All right, so Danny opted for the Druid, not the Mistweaver. Obviously, in Mists of Pandaria, he was known as one of the best Mistweavers, along with kind of Sharpstorm, but he has been playing Druid probably since Warlords of Draenor, so I don't know if it's something that he can just switch over to if he needs to, but he has been doing well with the Druid, and we're have to see if the Druid works out. The limitations of the Druid is that its mana is not good, so Method Orange could win on attrition. Right now, Maldiva landing a double stun, and he's got good positioning with Varen on the right and left side of the pillar. Mez is forcing Very away from that side, so they are just going to start targeting down the warrior, pulling Mez out into the open field. How is Mez going to deal with this? Polymorphs and Fears are good setups for Greater Pyro. Sea-Doo double Chi Torpedoes in, but Danny stealths away from his advance and switches sides, and now Sea-Doo stuck on the opposite side of the map of Danny. Nice reposition there from Danny.
Yeah, great damage here onto Varen, though, and it looks like the Iron Bark might be enough. Even with the Iron Bark, Varen's still not topped off. This push here from Method Orange is looking good. Big heals finally coming in. I think there's a Vitality Conduit to top him off, but it's like we kind of said, for Danny carry on that Restoration Druid, in order for this to work, he's going to have to, without question, go for drinks in this matchup. Actually, an offensive play coming in from Thirst for Burst. Danny Carey gets the full Cyclone onto Sea-Doo. Sam I Am taking a huge hit of damage. He's caught into the midfield. Can they force out the Ice Block? It would be massive. Sea-Doo with the Life Cocoon actually gets shred through immediately. Varen now finds the Polymorph on Sea-Doo, but I just don't know if they have any more damage. That was the Dark Soul. That was the Infernals. Sam I Am managed to hold on. And now for Method Orange, they're going to be looking to get aggressive here onto Varen.
All right, they've got him isolated. Beautiful crowd control by Method Orange. Danny going to break out of it, activate the Iron Bark, stabilize his mage. Cyclone on Sea-Doo, so Danny playing a bit more for crowd control here. The only downside is that Cyclone is pretty expensive, so he's really got to pick his moments when he wants to go for that crowd control. They don't really get to capitalize on it too much. They're setting up on Mez. They're just trying to annoy Mez as much as possible with Polymorph and Fear, and then set up those long casted spells, the Greater Pyroblast and the Chaos Bolt, while he can't disrupt them. That Stormbolt, a great utilization. Danny likely playing the Efflorescence build here. I just want to double check it to make sure, because Spring Blossoms is usually very effective when you're playing with a Warlock and a Fire Mage who are actually just going to be standing still most of the fight. You can get a lot of value out of the bonus healing of your Mastery. And I'm also wondering if Danny is running a Mastery build or not. I'm just trying to open the page to check it. Or if he went with the Versatility, because this might be the first time we see Druid go Mastery instead. Yeah, he is actually going full Mastery as opposed to Versatility. And he can get away with it. I mean, if they try to attack Danny, Maldiva and Very Nasty will just kill them. So I like this adaptation from Danny, going for the Mastery build. But he's actually not running Spring Blossoms with it. Either way, it's still a lot of healing output from the Restoration Druid overall. And this could allow him to have better mana management.
Ooh, Maledict on Varen. He's trying to run double Mortal Coil to defuse the situation bound by Maldiva. He's got the Dark Soul up. And this is something he does quite well when Varen's in trouble. He uses the Dark Soul trying to get counter pressure, but still, this could easily be the Ice Block. Varen, he's trying to hold on. Does he have the Hellstone? No, it looks like it is going to be the Ice Block. And that is the problem. Samayam with Kleptomania is going to be able to remove all those Restoration Druid heal over time effects, and they have a big chain with Intimidating Shout, with Paralyze, with Leg Sweep that they can put onto Danny, and it's really difficult for him to recover from those situations without his Trinket. And I just feel like that's one of the weaknesses of the Restoration Druid right now. Thirst for Burst, they're going to have to try to find an opening, because if they can't find some pressure, I think every single Intimidating Shout from Mez is going to be absolutely devastating. See you actually running the Maledict also to add insult to injury to really slow down the heals coming in from Danny. Thirst for Burst now looking for some damage. All three members of Method Orange at about 50% health, but Sea-Doo not in crowd control should easily recover, and he does.
Really like that Cataclysm from Maldiva, hitting two targets, getting Immolate up Very important for his Azerite trait Flashpoint to get a lot of haste, so his spells are very fast. Sea-Doo ports on top of Danny. Danny trying to run away from the expected crowd control. He Vitality Conduits, very nasty while he's Storm Bolted. Takes 0 damage. Good peels from Maldiva as well. Shadow Fury, Ursul's Vortex. Nice play there between Danny and Maldiva to pull Sam in on his blink for the Shadow Fury. Bashing him up though on Diminishing Return, maybe not too valuable. Blazing Barrier from Sam activating, absorbing a lot of damage there, even though Sea-Doo is feared. Combustion popped, but Danny immediately activates Iron Bark. Sam is sitting on his counterspell. I'm curious if he's going to use that on Danny. Sea-Doo gets caught out there in the open for a moment, but it looks like it broke early. Bit unfortunate here for Thirst for Burst as we step into Dampening. Very nasty with no ice block. It's susceptible to going down in the near future if they get any crowd control on Danny. That Intimidating Shout, unfortunately, a minute away from Mez. That would be the major crowd control point. Sea-Doo is now polymorphed. They've isolated Sam. He's out in midfield. He's going to activate that Blazing Barrier. Blink back to the pillar. Mez War Banners the follow-up polymorph. Sea-Doo, now that he's on Diminishing Return, he's getting aggressive. He's Chi Torpedoing out into midfield. He's currently immune to polymorph, so he wants to get crowd control on Danny while he can't be crowd controlled himself. But Danny is playing max range, making it very difficult. And because Danny was max range, he activates Iron Bark before the crowd control even hits. Now Sea-Doo stunned up. Mez could be in trouble as Danny lands a Cyclone. Mez going to activate that Avatar and just counter pressure instead. Doesn't seem like he's too afraid. Infernals have been called in. Perhaps he should consider retreating away, but he brings the Infernals right to Sea-Doo to break out of the polymorph. Nice play. Very nasty is on the back foot. Danny is stunned up. They could get the Cauterize with this. Maldiva stalls. He blinks into that Song of Chi-Ji, trying to get off some of the damage over time effects, but Cauterize is triggered anyway in a full polymorph. No way out. Very nasty on the run. If Mez gets there, very nasty is likely to die. Sam blinks in. Danny rolls over, but there's no cooldowns. He gets Dragon's Breath. As I say that, the Vitality Conduit actually available for Danny, saving very nasty in that position. But this is very one-sided. It feels like Method Orange have all of the pressure the entire time, and I don't think the Restoration Druid's going to work here for Thirst for Burst.
I mean, they're losing on mana, they're losing on cooldowns, they haven't really got any offensive pressure. Dragon's Breath now on Danny, and it could just be over right now. Varen, he does manage to hold on a little bit with the Temporal Shield, but that's just the main problem with the Restoration Druid. Every single time Method Orange has their instant crowd control available, they're able to generate massive pressure with the Kleptomania Spellseal from Samayam, and it's just one of the reasons why we don't see Druids too often right now. And I think if we're going to see Thirst for Burst win this matchup, it's going to be off the back of Danny Carey switching over to the Mistweaver Monk. Otherwise, I think this is going to be a 3-0 for Method Orange.
Yeah, Method Orange was kind of dominating that entire game, and we saw them fall pretty earlier than some of the other games that we saw yesterday, and as well as in that earlier series. So it's kind of a quicker victory for Method Orange. Let's talk about that a little bit, though, Zico. Was it just due to the Resto Druid, or was there other things coming into play there?
Well, there was it's not just because of the Resto Druid, but I think Method Orange, they just had really nice CC chains. Sea-Doo playing, the Song of Shiji, going in, getting, a Paralyze into a song or a Leg Sweep into a song. It just sets up his team to play full out aggressive, and combined with the fact that you don't have, Life Cocoon and Mistweaver healing, it just puts you at a big disadvantage if you are Thirst for Burst.
And Method Orange is one of those teams that we've seen play together for so many years together. They're such a powerhouse of a team again and again. And if your team like Thirst for Burst, how do you even compete against a team like this? Is going to be a really difficult matchup for these guys, Sid, to play against a team with such synergy that Method Orange has developed over the years.
I think that the only way they can win the matchup is by the Druid actually going for Cyclones, like frequently onto multiple targets and playing more of an aggressive. I don't think you can play passive Druid in this meta. Maybe on the ladder you can when there's more gear discrepancy between the teams. Like Maldiva is decked out on his Warlock on the live ladder, which could be what compensates for them to be able to play with the Druid with more success. But on the tournament realm, when you're on an even playing field in terms of the gear and the power and it's equalized, I think the Druid only brings the advantage that it has Cyclone. So if they get on top of Sea-Doo and they bring him out of the fight with 3 Polymorphs into 3 Cyclones, they can have enough damage to win the game. But if they try and just play the passive game into the Monk, he's a Monk and you're a Druid. Like I just don't feel like how it's gonna work. Their crowd control is much easier to land. Intimidating Shout is just instant cast. Paralyze is instant cast. There's very little risk to it. So their execution is just going to be way easier to pull off. Danny needs to be playing like at a very high level on the Druid in terms of these Cyclones, I think, to be able to win.
Well, Thirst for Burst did just lock in their composition. It looks like we're seeing Danny Carey switch over to a Mistweaver. Method Orange still on that Warrior Mage composition. What do you think about this Ven for both of these teams and their choices here?
Well, I mean, for Method Orange, I think this is their best available composition. When they did have the most convincing series against Cloud9, they did lose, but the closest matchups we really have seen are when they did play the Warrior, Mistweaver, Fire Mage into the MLM. So I think for Method Orange, they're leading with their best foot forward. Thirst for Burst, the Mistweaver adaptation should go a lot better for them. I mean, we've seen how strong Mistweaver monks are. Life Cocoon is so good. It's such a strong defensive cooldown. If you just have one moment, your teammate will survive. You can even preemptively use it on setups, and that can completely shut them down. So I think this is going to go a lot better for Thirst for Burst. This map certainly sets them up nicely. But yeah, I mean, Method Orange, they're firing on all cylinders. Their offensive goes are really, really nice. We're going to have to see if Thirst for Burst can survive those really, really big offensive pushes and try to find some counter pressure of their own. Not the easiest thing to do, but they should be able to do it here on Tolvaron.
Yeah, and this was their map choice for Thirst for Burst, as they did lose that last match, so that means that they get to choose the map for the next game. So they went with Tolvaron Arena, and then they have that double caster comp. Zico, how are they going to use the space of this map and those pillars to try and get an advantage over Method Orange?
Oh, well, they're going to threaten to drink anytime Method Orange pulls back behind the pillar, and they're going to try to win on mana. Obviously, Sea-Doo is never really going to be able to get those drinks, and they're going to always drag them all back very far. And last game, Very Nasty was mainly the target, the mage. So if that's the case, I want to see Maldiva have a little bit more aggressive positioning. Try to get the Fears, try to get Chaos Bolts, try to, kind of reverse the pressure in favor of his own team. Anytime Very Nasty is in trouble, and anytime Method Orange are crossing the map. One thing that's important, though, is, of course, that Method Orange just won on Nagran. So if we start seeing, Thirst for Burst win on the large map, and then Method Orange take it to a small map, they're going to have that advantage later on in the series. So winning Nagran has been super important. Anytime you're facing a team that runs, Mage Lock, because if you lose Nagrand, then you have to win a game on Tolvir or a game on Ashamins later, which is difficult.
And as we're seeing both of these teams they're running with that Mistweaver, then do you think it's not often that we've seen recently in recent cups that we're seeing these Mistweavers run out of mana. Do we think that's going to be an issue at all in this next game?
Well, I mean, on the large map, theoretically, Danny Carey, well, basically the way it's going to work is Sea-Doo, Mez, and Samayam, if they need to, they can retreat behind the pillar. But being at the pillar, it makes it really, really difficult if they're all clumped up to actually sit down for a drink. So I think Thirst for Burst and Danny Carey are going to have the luxury of being able to, have that open space where Danny Carey can sit down for drinks basically whenever he wants. And for Method Orange, Sea-Doo's just going to have to hold on. He's going to have to manage his mana well. Sitting down for a drink is extremely unlikely if, Very Nasty and Maldiva are on point. So it might come down to mana, but I don't think that's how we see this game end. I don't think it's going to be a Mistweaver Monk that's out of mana, and that's what results in a kill. I think it's more going to be about consistent setups, big burst windows for Thirst for Burst, and who can pull that off better.
Yeah, we'll see shortly as these teams get set up and loaded into the map here. One final question I do have for you, Zico. We have two Fire Mages here on both sides of the team. How do we think that they have their gear set up? We are in a tournament realm. They basically have any choice of armor and talents here, which you can also check out at awc.gcd.tv to check that out. What do you think they're running?
They're running, kind of standard stuff here. Both mages stacking versatility, knowing that they could be targets, and I like that they're going with, the Flame Cannon, Kleptomania, and Greater Pyroblast on the side of Very Nasty. It's, the standard build, especially Flame Cannon. If you don't go for Conflict, you don't get that baseline Temporal Shield, and then you would go Greater Pyroblast, Kleptomania, and Temporal Shield. But since you get that baseline, going for Flame Cannon is very nice, because on a large map like Tolvir, those extra yards range that you get on your spells really starts to add up, because as soon as Mez starts to charge forward, you can be very far back and already start throwing out greater pyroblasts and start going through some of that defense with the spare reflex and everything. So I like both of these mages builds. Obviously, Sam I Am as well is one of the innovators. A lot of the mages in NA just straight up copy him on his builds, so I'm not going to criticize it.
All right, here we go. Maldiva pushing forward on the right side, and Method Orange are going to be pillaring up in a defensive position, and it's due to the nature of the map. If you fight a Destruction Warlock and a Fire Mage on Tolvaron, and you just kind of run out there and start trying to attack, you're probably going to get dissected. So they're really going to pick their moment here. They need to do hit and runs with the Intimidating Shout and the Paralyze. That's going to be the focus point of the team of Method Orange, because these crowd controls can't really be stopped. They're guaranteed to land, and they last about, 11 seconds in total between each other. Maybe a bit longer if you even get the leg sweep on that chain. During that time, they can burst down very nasty. Maybe a dampening switch to Maldiva instead, but early on, the greater Pyroblast is a bigger threat. So I do anticipate that very nasty will be the target, at least for the first 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, very nasty. He's looking to get some damage rolling, but not able to find it just yet, as it looks like Thirst for Burst. They're just setting up crowd control, trying to defuse this go if they can. Tamam and Sidhu pinned down at the pillar once again. Maldiva in midfield. You can see Mez, he's greatly overextending right now. Might be a little bit scared if they can find any damage on him, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to just yet. Samayam gets the Ring of Frost onto Maldiva into a re-polymorph. Big burst damage here onto Very Nasty, but with no crowd control on Danny, we know how this goes. The Mistweaver Monk is going to be able to heal through basically any damage at this point in the game. So we're going to need to see Samayam and Sidhu go for crowd control on Danny Carey. And I think if they're just wasting time sitting in the open, it's not a winning position. But so far, Danny Carey's been doing a good job making that exceptionally difficult positioning as far away as you possibly can. And that's what he needs to do. Finally, Method Orange, they pull the trigger. Paralyze on Danny Carey. Big burst damage onto Very Nasty. This is the Temporal Shield the Life Cocoon trades out from Danny as he uses his Gladiator's Medallion to free himself from crowd control. Maldiva looking to fire back with a couple Chaos Bolts onto Sam, but looks like Sidhu is able to heal through it. Samayam, Mez, and Sidhu looking nice and healthy. They got a big objective there, which is Danny's Trinket, and they can just wait for the next leg sweep, the next Paralyze, and Method Orange is going to be looking to do a big go once again onto Varen.
Oh, Sam getting bursted down. Sidhu gets caught in a fear. Mez activates Rallying Cry, trying to stabilize here. Sidhu gets stunned up by the Shadow Fury, but Vitality Conduit's already rolling. Danny, in the meantime, is caught in a Ring of Frost. Sidhu's trying to get in position for a Song of Chi-Ji, but Danny has now escaped the ring. It will be very difficult for Sidhu to land it. It looks like he still wants to try, but as he tries, he gets intercepted by the Polymorph, but it breaks prematurely. They go for another one. Danny moves in for a leg sweep. He knocks Sidhu into it, but Sam blinks away from it. Nice blink from Sam I Am. Very Nasty taking control of Mez, trying to stall. Maldiva switches Fear over to Sidhu. Even despite the polymorphs and the fear, Mez and Sam really not taking too much damage. It's Very Nasty who is falling behind. Sam pops a combustion. Very Nasty spell steal cancels it instantly to remove that threat. Danny is still locked down in the paralyzed. Rolls away, not able to land the Chi-Ji. Sidhu's feared off into the distance. Danny repositions. Very important for Danny to consistently move away from Sidhu. He doesn't want him anywhere near him. He wants to make sure that Sidhu needs to go midfield to get crowd control so that Maldiva and Very Nasty can help. Sidhu gets polymorphed, but it looks like he pre-Vitality Conduited it, so he's just going to freely heal Sam I Am up to full. Now he gets feared, though. He's taking quite a lot of crowd control. Sam could be in trouble. He's looking for polymorphs on the Warlock. Very Nasty's not finding a greater Power Blast, so Sam is likely to stabilize. Sam blinks in to try and poly Danny. Danny is protected by Maldiva with that spell lock. Sidhu is pushing up. Danny rolls away from Sidhu, looking to get nowhere near him. And Thirst for Burst are continuing to stall. They punish Sidhu by polying him out in midfield, but again, it breaks early. And if these polymorphs don't stick, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Thirst for Burst to find a win. Both mages going at each other. Combustion stolen. Huge pressure. Is Sam going to be able to get the kill here? Chaos Bolt's being lobbed in. Life Cocoon from Sidhu going to stop all the damage there. Maldiva's polying on his Dark Soul. Method Orange have solid game plan here against Thirst for Burst, and honestly, this is going to be very good practice for them in preparations for the inevitable Cloud9 matchup that they're going to need to figure out how to deal with. I'm curious, like, what are the major differences? Because in my mind, when I'm watching this doesn't look very difficult for Method Orange, at least comparably to when we watched them face Cloud9. So I'm just trying to figure out the differences between Cloud9 and Thirst for Burst in terms of their pressure. It doesn't. Something that maybe it's like just some small nuances. But
I did see a screenshot of CD posting a 70% dampening match against Cloud9, so we're a little bit far off from that moment. Sometimes it can be hard, as well as the Mage Warlock and Liv, it can also be difficult to secure a kill against this particular composition. Varen getting bursted down, though. It is going to be the ice block. Really good crowd control once again. These consistent setups from Method Orange, unfortunately, are resulting in a lot of defensive cooldowns, and Thirst for Burst can't be feeling too good. There's no trinket from Danny Carey. That was actually his trinket. He got crowd controlled on it, wasn't in line of sight of Varen, and as a result, they had to overlap the trinket and the ice block. I have to say, about a minute ago as well, something we didn't really notice was Sam I Am was forced into his Cauterize, or forced to use the Cauterize, so no longer has that cheat death and needs to be very careful, because Maldiva with the Dark Soul can easily just take him down to 0 hit points in just a few spells. So without that cheat death, he's going to really have to pay attention to those big burst moments.
All right, Greater Pyro, pummeled, very nasty, not able to blink away from it in time. Sam just lobbing out fireballs, trying to reset that combustion. Getting a couple seconds off for every fireball cast. Maldiva lobbing out damage. Thirst for Burst trying to play in a deeper dampening. Sidhu gets counterspelled by Varen, but I'm not finding too much damage. They're trying to Greater Pyro Mez. Nice fear on Mez. He wasn't able to get back to very nasty. The Greater Pyro connects as a result. Sidhu's going to have to power through that and pick him up. Sidhu looks like he wants to move out towards Danny, but he could get intercepted by a Polymorph if he's not careful. Sam I Am blinks in for a counterspell. Clutch play here. Very nasty, blinking away, but Mez is in hot pursuit. Leap charge. Life Cocoon going to activate from Danny Carey. Likely we do not see Very Nasty go down through that powerful cooldown. Good response. Now Maldiva popping Dark Soul, trying to counter pressure, going after Sam, fearing Sidhu. But Sam will line of sight here. Sidhu reconvenes and should easily pick him up. Maldiva switching targets to Mez. Dark Soul still active for a few moments. Gets a Chaos Bolt on Mez with it, but it's of no consequence. There's no crowd control on Sidhu. He should pop Mez back into the fight quite easily. Danny repositions. He's managing his mana, and yeah, like you said, maybe perhaps it's that as soon as Thirst for Burst gets to that 70% dampening mark that we see Cloud9 to get to, they'll be able to pull off a win. So maybe I'm calling it too soon here with Danny's swap over to the Mistweaver. Sam is being pressured. Looks like Vitality Conduit was activated by Sidhu, though, right before the crowd control. Unlikely that he dies through that powerful cooldown. Sidhu comes out of the fear and should be able to bring Sam I Am into the fight. He's getting a lot of fireballs, though. He's getting maximum value. His combustion already reset.
Yep, and just taking a look at the gear, Very Nasty, despite being the target in the last game, he's still opting for a lot of haste amps. So most of his corruption has been dedicated towards just additional haste in the matchup. And I mean, you're kind of seeing it. He is getting bursted down. Most mages favoring, pure versatility in a matchup like this, but they are going for big damage onto Sam. Let's see if they can actually push through. Unfortunately, the Life Cocoon from Sidhu denies completely. And I think that might just be it. I mean, not having as much defense, Very Nasty's missing out on, I would say, a large amount of versatility, making him more susceptible to these burst windows, because for Method Orange, the only way they win is big extended crowd control chains on Danny, and Varen needs to basically do everything he can to survive those setups. And if he's not, then they're going to be able to push through, they're going to be able to get Ice Block, they're going to be able to get Life Cocoon and Trinket. Whereas, other mages we've seen, they just go for pure raw defense, because they know they can only die in that one burst window, and if they can survive that, then it's going to be looking good for them in the long run.
All right, Very Nasty getting bursted down by Mez. Nice fear timing. Is Temporal Shield going to be enough? Sam moving forward as well. They're really pushing for the kill. Danny Trinket's paralyzed, activates Life Cocoon right before the stun, but Life Cocoon actually gets cut through. But they don't have any further crowd control. Danny should begin to stabilize Varen. Vitality Conduits traded on both sides. Mez getting spam polymorphed. Thirst for Burst trying to stall. Maldiva activating Dark Soul, so he was trying to counter push during Method Orange's advance. Didn't really get anything going with it, unfortunately. No Ice Block forced on Sam. No die by the sword from Mez. Those are going to be the major points of objective at 9 minutes in and 26% dampening. Sam wrapping at the corner with Sidhu, waiting for their crowd control to come off cooldown. Mez is out in midfield. Blade storming away, storm bolting the Greater Pyro Blast. They're going to need good communication to stop these Greater Pyro Blasts, as this is going to be the main point for Thirst for Burst to engage. Another Greater Pyro Blast. It's on Sam, and he's going to tank it right to the face. Sidhu feared away. Another Greater Pyro Blast being cast. Double Mortal Coil. These Greater Pyros are slipping through. Vitality Conduit from Sidhu right as he gets polymorphed. That's going to be a lot of free healing again. Varen using Temporal as he does dip low. He's got Ice Block still available. Sea-Doo moves into midfield. Danny gets caught in a poly. Sea-Doo has leg sweep ready. This is going to be a long crowd control chain, but Danny anticipates it with Life Cocoon. Very Nasty tries to turn it around with multiple Greater Pyro Blasts. Sea-Doo responds, activating the Life Cocoon. Danny stuns Sea-Doo first and retreats away. The main goal for Thirst for Burst is to not die. Stay in the fight until they get to that deep dampening stage. Maybe they're about over the halfway mark at this point. Can Method Orange close it out?
All right, we'll have to see. Sea-Doo pushing in. This is the moment. They want to try to get the Ice Block. Can they do it? Very Nasty's going to be using the Demonic Gateway to get away. Mez, with a heroic leap, chases them down. Very Nasty's just trying to do everything he can to escape from Mez. Polymorph onto Mez into a Frost Nova. Sea-Doo can't dispel it, unfortunately. Leg sweep into Song of Chi-Ji onto Danny Carry. Varen is all by himself, but Samayam's also getting pressured down, but it will be Varen who is forced with the Temporal Shield and Ice Block, and to keep himself alive. When with no Cauterize, no Ice Block, 35% dampening, there's a huge opportunity here for Method Orange to close this out.
All right, they've got the window. Can they slip through? Mez has Intimidating Shout. They could go for a big push. And my eyes are on Sea-Doo. He's going to be the aggressor of the team. He needs to initiate with the Paralyze if Sam can't find a Polymorph. But while he pushes out into midfield, he will be susceptible to crowd control. So Sam is trying to get on point. He does manage to land the Polymorph. This could be it for Thirst for Burst. Danny breaks out, but he breaks into a full fear. Unfortunately, Vitality Conduit was activated. I would have liked Mez to save that Intimidating Shout, punish him later on, having seen the Glider's Medallion. It's now Sam who's in trouble as Thirst for Burst intercept. I love these Dark Soul timings from Maldiva, popping them exactly when Method Orange is in the middle of their attack so that they risk dying to the Dark Soul. But Maldiva is just not finding any damage with them every time he activates it. Sea-Doo trades Vitality Conduit, Life Cocoon. Very Nasty dips low. Danny has to activate Life Cocoon of his own. His mana is starting to slip away, and so is the game. They still haven't got to die by the sword or Cauterize from Sam in some time. Sea-Doo feared at half duration. Very Nasty casting a Greater Pyro. Gets that one onto Sam. Is he going to get a second one? He gets a second one. Not able to find it. Looking for a third cast. Mez actually taking some hits. Danny trying to roll away from Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo gets intercepted this time by Polymorph. This could be an opportunity for Thirst for Burst. They're going after Sam. But they just don't have the damage. Sea-Doo sits through the Polymorph comfortably. Comes out and can use Vitality Conduit if he needs to, but he's feared now. Good punish. Nice chain by Maldiva. Looking for another fear. He needs a third one. They do need a leg sweep too if they can get in position, but they can't. Life Cocoon activates. Sam-I-Am stabilizes. Spell Reflect from Mez on the Chaos Bolt. Sea-Doo moves to midfield along with Sam. They're pushing on top of Danny. Danny can't get away. Sea-Doo's all over him. They pre-Vitality Conduit. Will it be enough? The Song of Chi-Ji gets cast. Danny dodges it with the Chi Torpedo. Sea-Doo is a second too late. Mez rolls over, but he isn't able to find anything, and that missed Song of Chi-Ji could allow Thirst for Burst another opportunity to stay in the game.
Ooh, here's the leg sweep onto Sea-Doo. They're making a big swap. Can they take him down? He gets the Fortifying Brew. He's just going to sit there. He's not afraid at all, and it will be Very Nasty that does fall. The crowd control chain is extended. Method Orange are able to push through the defense. As dampening went on, though, it seemed Thirst for Burst, they started developing more pressure in the match onto Sam-I-Am. They actually forced out the Ice Block. And I feel like it could just be one of those things where, I mean, how much do you think it matters that he's not geared defensively? Like, I feel like that it actually matters a lot. And, you know, sometimes it's just a little bit, 5%, 10% damage that makes him not comfortable enough to, hold his Ice Block, or Cauterize doesn't proc. It can buy you that extra second or two you need. And, I mean, that was a really well-played game by Method Orange, but I do feel like there's some adaptations we could see Thirst for Burst pull off.
Yeah, that's going to be a Game 2 victory for Method Orange, and now they only need one more win to win this whole series and send these guys out of this tournament, unfortunately. To add a little bit onto what Venriki said, Zico, let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think that they were maybe improving on, like Ven was saying towards the end of that game, that they could maybe carry on into a third game, potentially taking a game off of Method Orange?
Yeah, so I like the build that Very Nasty is going with. I like, the Azurites that he's picking and everything. His neck looks good, but I gotta agree, having those expedients on your gear, not gonna be ideal. I think either you go full out Versa or you go Racing Pole. One of the Racing Poles, we haven't seen it yet, but we will, trust me. So I think that for sure does matter, but I also think Method Orange just looked really good here. They had clean setups, with the Warrior Fears, with the Song of Chi-Ji and leg sweeps, and they were able to, despite the map, still get out a lot of setups. And I think some of that has to be attributed as well to the targeting. I feel like the Mage Lock could have targeted Mez a little bit more to push him back and then go for Sam. Especially if Sam is blinking in and going for CC, that's when you can really punish him. I feel like maybe they should have hit Mez a little bit more to just have more control over what was going on, because I feel like Mez was just doing whatever he wanted that game.
And we also saw, of course, we saw Danny swap off of that Resto Druid onto the Mistweaver, and it seemed like they also lasted a bit longer. They were maybe putting up better defenses up against Method Orange that time around. Sid, what do you think that they were doing maybe differently between Game 1 and Game 2 that were helping them maybe sustain a little bit longer in that game?
They didn't play a Druid? I mean, that's the main one. Druid is in a place where I think it's good, but it's not over the top. And right now, what you want to do to win is you need to be over the top. So
it's good, but it's not a Mistweaver, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I have fun playing my Druid. I think it's pretty good. Like, it has its drawbacks, it has its strengths, but Mistweaver is just in a place where it's only strength. So you're kind of just in a place where, like, yeah, you don't. Why am I gonna play a Druid? It has a weakness. I could just play the Monk and not have the weakness. So I think that's the major reason why they're able to last longer than with the Druid. But aggressively, it seemed like they didn't have a game plan. In EU, we saw a lot of Mistweavers. They would use Ring of Peace to prevent the enemy team from running away. They would also set up swaps a lot, so you can polymorph Sea-Doo and then switch to him while he can't move in the polymorph. It seemed like Thirst for Burst weren't doing any sorts of setups. They're kind of just, all right, we're midfield, we'll cast Chaos Bolt and Greater Pyro. When they try and crowd control us, we'll pop our cooldowns and try and kill them. And it was just too predictable, the way they were playing. So Method Orange were able to deal with it pretty easily. Whereas Cloud9, I think that's the difference. Every once in a while, they'll do the whole, we're casting Greater Pyro and Chaos Bolt, but they'll mix something up. Like, oh, Sea-Doo's out mid, and I have Leg Sweep. Do you want to go him out of this with stun? And then they'll switch, and they'll mix it up more. Whereas it seemed like Thirst for Burst were just the same thing over and over and over and over, and Method Orange just knew what to do.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about it before this series, Thirst for Burst. They have a lot of individually really, really strong players that we've seen had great success in previous cups or seasons. And do we feel like this team has a lot of potential? I mean, they're not obviously probably getting the results they want against Method Orange, Ven, but how do we feel like if this team could be like improved over the next couple of cups that we're going to see?
I mean, just refine their setups, right? I mean, they are running one of the best compositions in the game. We saw it a lot yesterday in Europe. We've been seeing it from Cloud9. I mean, Cloud9 basically exclusively runs the Mage Lock Mistweaver, so it is a composition that can win, but I think with little tweaks, with, their setups, how they gear, things like that, that will be able to carry them quite a bit, in these tournaments. I think Method Orange is a difficult opponent for them. I mean, Method Orange has been practicing and preparing for Cloud9 quite a bit, and they know exactly what Cloud9 is going to play, so as a result, they have, prepared this Monk, Warrior, Mage. They're very experienced in this matchup, and I think Thirst for Burst is kind of experiencing that right now, just how experienced Method Orange is. But I definitely wouldn't count Thirst for Burst out of this series yet, and I think next week, if they stand up again, they could do really, really well in the tournament.
Well, maybe they reverse sweep.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wouldn't count them out. Yeah, I said that.
No, it's true. You did. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
my bad.
I like Mess's crowd mount. Do you guys see
they
that?
have like a team mount. It's actually kind of interesting. A lot of the teams have
they're all matching.
Set up, these team mounts for themselves. Sea-Doo's a big fan. Sea-Doo, Mez, and Sam are a big fan of doing the crab dance in the starter room.
Is it because it's orange?
Maybe, yeah.
Like an orange crab because it's Method Orange. Because C9 have the frogs,
The Super Frog days.
Yeah, they have the frog mount.
The Krogwa. Sea-Doo's actually, this is a good start by Very Nasty. Sam just presses Temporal though, and he's just going to soak all his damage if he even takes any heal back to full. Good shutdown by Method Orange. They're playing at the pillar, waiting for their opportunity. Sea-Doo running the song of Chi-Ji again, so he is going to be the one that starts the crowd control. When you see Sea-Doo start to move towards Danny, you know that Method Orange are going to be doing something that Danny isn't going to like. That's why I'm always watching Sea-Doo. Where has he got those chi torpedoes? Is he able to get on top of Danny without getting crowd controlled? He's repositioning. Sam blinks with him. They're getting closer to Danny. Danny's like, all right, you're getting too close. I'm going to move even further away. I do like Danny's positioning right now, and he's going to always have to adapt it and keep his eye on Sea-Doo and Sam.
All right, let's see. Sam getting feared away, and then we're just going to be waiting basically for Sea-Doo to get the crowd control that he needs to push in the match, and that's what it is for Method Orange. It's just about putting out, pretty good consistent damage, but saving your burst for when you have that instant crowd control onto Danny Carey. And Very Nasty and Maldiva are going to have to do a really good job diffusing that situation. Actually now setting up on Mez a little bit, so maybe going after Mez a little bit more in the matchup to kind of spice things up.
Why did Sea-Doo roll to this side of the pillar? I thought he was going to go for crowd control. I guess he's waiting for Sam to get out of fear. Danny repositions, and now Sea-Doo doesn't have a chi torpedo. Maybe he left his port on that back pillar, and if Danny moves over to it, he's going to port on top of Danny. Maldiva's pushing up on top of Sam, though. Sam's going to polymorph him if he's not careful. Line of sight's it. Sea-Doo getting that crackling Jade Lightning. Very important as the Mistweaver Monk to attack the Warrior's target every now and then to get Mystic Touch up. 5% more physical damage for Mez. And it is very important to ramp up just because they need just enough damage to kill with crowd control. So you want to make sure that Mystic Touch is up. Mez taking a beating out in midfield. Sea-Doo trying to max range any potential interrupts. We see Sam and Sea-Doo rolling up into midfield. Danny repositions over into the starting room, puts his portal in the starting room, I suppose so that if he needs to port away from Sea-Doo, he's still out in the open so that his team can help him. Interesting. And he didn't fall for the trap. Sea-Doo did leave his portal here, so Danny didn't fall for that. But they're going to start the chain with an intimidating shout into a full polymorph. A deadly crowd control chain, to say the least. Very Nasty using the Demonic Gateway and his Temporal Shield to stall during the crowd control. Dragon's Breathing Mez, buying time for Danny to get out of the polymorph, activating the Vitality Conduit. But now they could switch to Danny, as he is softened up a bit from the Vitality, but it's too risky. They're not going to. And Danny's just out in midfield. This is where he needs to be so that his team can freely cast spells onto Mez and Sam. And both teams make it out of that exchange without any real hits. Danny's mana, though, isn't looking good. And actually, Sam sneaks in a polymorph. This could be devastating. They're pushing for the Cauterize. They stall with a Fear and a Dragon's Breath. Another Fear from Maldiva. Danny's out of crowd control. It's actually Sea-Doo who is now in a Fear. Sam immediately retreats behind the opposite Tiger statue. But look how far away he is from Sea-Doo. How is Sea-Doo going to get to Sam? Maldiva's intercepting him. Sam is still low. Sea-Doo is now paralyzed. The map is definitely doing a lot of favors for Thirst for Burst. They continue to push forward, but the Warbander catches that half polymorph. It's going to be more than enough with Life Cocoon. Sam's going to go back to full health in the near future. Danny repositions. The main thing that Danny needs to consider is setting up his drink. His mana is not good. Only 50% at 4 minutes in. He's going to need to do something about it soon.
Yeah, I mean, definitely setting up that drink is going to be important. His team should be able to set it up for him, but Method Orange feeling very confident to continue this push. Then it will be Very Nasty who potentially has to use the Cauterize or the Ice Block. Looking for crowd control on Danny Carey. The polymorph gets shut down, and Life Cocoon does connect. And now Sea-Doo could be in a little bit of trouble if we see Maldiva find some damage. Sea-Doo gets the Vitality Conduit on himself with the Fortifying Brew. There is no chance he falls through that. And Sam with good control, polymorphs, denying Maldiva any sort of damage, but I think that's one thing we see Cloud9 do quite a bit is when Sea-Doo is making those offensive pushes, if they can land a polymorph onto Sea-Doo, then use Combustion and Dark Soul to set up on Sea-Doo with a leg sweep, they can really punish the fact that he is using all of his mobility to push in. He's using both Chi Torpedoes, he's exceptionally far away from his Transcendence, and I think that's the one vulnerability of what Method Orange is doing, is when Sam or Sea-Doo push a little bit too far, you have to have a well-coordinated counter attack. Otherwise, just getting pressure is too difficult.
Is Sea-Doo taunting the Fell Hunter before he gets polyed? Because he's breaking out of these polymorphs. I swear I saw the Fell Hunter turn direction. Sea-Doo moves up. He's got crowd control. Very Nasty is isolated during his combustion. Sam takes it away. Now his damage is increased. Very Nasty's in a lot of trouble. Will he be able to stabilize while Danny is leg swept for a moment longer? Yes, he will. Life Cocoon connects, and Very Nasty should recover. No, I'm not a fan of that intimidating shout from Mez. Maybe it was defensive, but they could have got so much more with that. Danny's now playing Relentless, so those intimidating shout crowd control chains are going to sit for the full duration. Danny needs to drink. I believe Sea-Doo is chasing him. He hits him with a crackling Jade Lightning, not letting Danny drink whatsoever. Sam is in an aggressive position. Sea-Doo gets feared away. He could get punished for being out in midfield. Danny rolls forward with leg sweep. Is he going to go for it on Sam? Stuns the polymorph. Huge damage, but Vitality Conduit is already rolling on Sam. It's picking him back up through all of the damage. And he's back to full. Danny repositions, and the only thing is that his mana is just getting worse and worse at this point. Full polymorph on Sea-Doo. Could be an opportunity for Thirst for Burst. Sam has Temporal Shield, though. He activates that. He's not even taking any damage anyway, but the Temporal Shield would have healed him back on it. Danny now caught in a poly. Sea-Doo rolls up, looking for a Song of Chi-Ji. If he lands this, it's going to be a caught in a block, but he gets feared on it. It doesn't look like he's able to find it. They go for Dragon's Breath instead, but Danny already activated the Vitality Conduit. Should stabilize Very Nasty very easily. Sea-Doo now on Diminishing Return for crowd control. Should begin to... Actually, no. It just came off the Polymorph Diminishing Return. You see that? He taunts the Fell Hunter. And he broke his own Polymorph. He's done that multiple times now. Maldiva needs to be careful and put his pet onto passive as soon as possible to prevent that. I mean, that's a very high-level play. I remember monks doing that against hunters. You trap the hunter pet... or taunt the hunter pet right before you get trapped, and then the hunter pet attacks you and breaks it. Sea-Doo's doing the same thing with the Fell Hunter. It runs over and attacks and breaks the polymorph.
Yeah, but I mean, as nice as that is from Sea-Doo, those polymorphs consistently breaking are losing the game for Thirst for Burst, so they need to clean that up. Definitely need to make some adaptations because it's a high-level play from Sea-Doo, but it's also a low-level play to allow that to happen consistently over and over and over. If that is what's going on, and it looks like it is, they definitely need a little bit more pet control. Samayam's going to be taking a huge hit of burst, but with the Temporal Shield, going to be feeling nice and healthy to continue the push here onto Very Nasty. Polymorph lands onto Sea-Doo. Fear on Samayam. Is there going to be any burst? Maldiva actually gates away. I think that might have been a mistake. I think he misclicked his gateway, unfortunately, and that denied that opportunity. And now it's going to be Very Nasty, who is in trouble. Combustion's popped out. They're going for a big counter assault here onto Samayam. Vitality Conduit onto Very Nasty allows him to make an offensive push, but now a Polymorph on Danny Carey. They still have the burst damage. They might be able to take him down. Reaping Flames lands.
Oh!
Triple leg sweep from Sea-Doo. Looking for the dance of Chi-Ji. Sea-Doo with a beautiful play. Interrupt onto Very Nasty, and it will be the Ice Block. Luckily, it's not overlapped with the Cauterize, but definitely some nice offensive plays there by Method Orange.
Excellent crowd control chain. They've also denied Danny from drinking. That's usually supposed to be the hardest part, is stopping Danny from drinking, but Method Orange have been able to accomplish that as well as get setups. They're looking solid in the matchup. I would be very excited to see them against Cloud9 if they manage to make a deep run in the lower bracket here. Or maybe Cloud9 gets upset and sent down early and we could see it again. They've definitely put the practice in. Sea-Doo double rolling in, looking to stop the drink and maybe crowd control Danny and push for the win. Danny repositioning on the back side of the map, going towards the starting area. Very Nasty is just taking a ton of damage from Mez. Mez has obviously got a lot of reps on that warrior since the last time we saw him as well. Sam gets interrupted and bursted down. Maldiva needs to be the one on point to sort of counter-aggress for the team. His Dark Soul timing and his fears need to be what wins the game. But Danny gets interrupted. Very Nasty Temporal Shields. Heals himself back to full. Mez avatars out of the Frost Nova. Sea-Doo rolls up, but he does get punished, pulled into a fear, but actually overlapped with the Polymorph, and he already pre-life cocoon. They switched to Sea-Doo. This is what I wanted to see more of from Thirst for Burst. Punish Sea-Doo on this map, but Danny's in the poly. Very Nasty only has Cauterize. If Mez connects, Very Nasty unlikely to survive. He gets the fear out. Very Nasty is burning down, melting, and Mez is trying to go for the win. Leaps over. Life Cocoon activates, but this is going to cost all of Danny's mana to heal Very Nasty back into the fight. They still haven't got caught from Sam. I don't know if it's maybe once in this series that they got it from him even. Sea-Doo is maximum mana. Mez gets Vitality Conduit. Nice spell lock from Maldiva. Those are the plays that he needs to make if he wants to put a point on the board here for his team. But Very Nasty falls behind. Sam secures a counterspell into Danny, and Very Nasty is likely to fall over. Maldiva stalls with the Mortal Coil. He buys him a moment. He Temporal Shields, but the full Song of Chi-Ji. There's no way. 2 more seconds left. Not enough time. Sam blocks for the kill. Method Orange close it out. Their Mage Warrior Monk looking strong in Cup 3.